The ultimate form of revenge for me is success. I'm gonna keep being successful and make you look like shit.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck. I've walked away from millions of dollars, Kevin. You know, it's if it's not right, I'm not with it.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck how much money you're offering me.
Yeah.
The whole world knows Dr. Dre as the mastermind behind the hip-hop revolution. The first self-made billionaire in rap, the man who never loses. The one who once declared success is the sweetest revenge. 60 years old. A man standing at the peak of power and wealth, but no one knows. Dr. Dre carries unimaginable pain inside him. A child raised among gunshots, bloodshed, and addiction in Compton. A man who watched his friends and brothers from Eazy-E to Tupac fall to street violence. A father who lost his little son. Betrayal, hatred, and battles have always followed him like a ghost. And now, while the whole world praises him as a legend, Dr. Dre must live with one painful question. Is success truly victory, or just a trap that demands a price? This is not just a story about music. This is the story of a man who gave up everything to reach the top and suffered tragedy. The child judged from birth. On February 18, 1965 in Los Angeles, a city full of promise but also cruelty, Andre Romel Young was born. But his birth wasn't greeted with happiness. It arrived with worry and whispers. Andre's mother, Verna Young, got pregnant at 15 and gave birth at 16. It shocked the community, a stain society could not accept at the time. Gossip from neighbors and acquaintances became the first background music of Andre's life. He'll never be anything. Just another mistake from the ghetto. However, inside that small house full of instability, one thing was never unstable music. Despite being young and under financial pressure, Andre's mother was a passionate music lover. From his earliest days, Andre grew up with the seductive voice of Diana Ross, the explosive funk of James Brown, and the soulful depth of R&B. If music was his breath, then instability was the air Andre had to breathe every day. His childhood was filled with lurking danger. His father and his father's friends would gather to drink, gamble, and create chaos, sometimes violence. His mother lived in constant fear, terrified that police sirens would come any moment to arrest the men in the house. To cope with all that chaos, young Andre developed an unusual habit, locking himself in his room. It wasn't rebellion, it was survival. Family instability reached its peak when Andre's parents separated. Their breakup pushed Andre and his mother into an endless cycle of poverty and uncertainty. They had to keep moving, leaving one neighborhood after another. Their running finally ended at a symbolic and terrifying location, Wilmington Arms in Compton. Compton at that time was not just a tough area, it was a forbidden zone of gang violence, drug trafficking, and despair. Living there wasn't a choice, it was the collapse of the American dream. Right in this deadly ghetto, the future Dr. Dre found the raw material for his music. The brutality, the fear, and the frantic rhythm of Compton blended with James Brown's funk in his mind. They created an explosive combination that would later define gangster rap and change music forever. But the pain didn't stop there. Loss and family tragedy. His mother, Verna Young, did not just face poverty and society's judgment. She also had to witness the death of 3 sons before Dre ever touched success. First was the loss of a baby, who died only 1 day after birth due to being premature. Even in that brief moment, the pain of a young mother marked the beginning of a tragic chain. Another child died at only 2 months old. Even more heartbreaking, her oldest son Tyree was shot at 21 years old in the middle of Compton's gang violence. 3 births, 3 losses. No heart can endure that. The pain crushed her mind, turning her into a breathing zombie, alive but dead inside. And in the middle of that hell, only one person had to be strong for the entire family. Andre Young, a boy who had to grow up hearing his mother sob. A boy who had to swallow his tears to become the only shoulder left to lean on. A boy who had to learn how to keep living when death lingered around his home every day. Maybe it was from those losses that Dre learned one thing. If he was not strong, he would die, like everybody else. The first step into music. Growing up amidst the instability of Compton and the burden of caring for his depressed mother, Andre Young dropped out of Centennial High School. To him, school could not save him. Music was his only escape. He was desperate to break out of Wilmington Arms, and that door would not open with textbooks, but with rhythm. His biggest turning point came on a Christmas day. Instead of a traditional gift, Andre received a drum machine. It was not just a toy. It was the tool that allowed him to create music his own way away from the old records. That little drum machine changed his life forever, transforming him from a passive listener into a potential producer. To survive and to learn, Dre started working as a DJ at Eve After Dark, a famous club in Compton. There he met and teamed up with DJ Yella, the man who would later help him make history with N.W.A. Andre then gave himself a stage name inspired by NBA legend Dr. J. Julius Erving. Later, he changed it to Dr. Dre, implying his ability to surgically craft and reshape sound like a professional doctor. In 1984, Dr. Dre and DJ Yella joined world-class Wreckin' Crew, a group known for flashy disco and glittery outfits. They had some success, but the style did not match Dre's soul. He lived in a world of street violence and struggle, and disco happiness did not reflect any of that. Dre became frustrated. He needed something raw street, music that represented the rage he saw outside his window. The birth of the world's most dangerous group. In 1986, as if destined, Dr. Dre met Ice Cube, a young rapper who was sharp, intelligent, and skilled with razor-like lyrics. Their chemistry exploded instantly. While Dre could create thunderous beats, Cube could write words that expressed the rage of the ghetto. Seeing the potential of this combination, Eazy-E created Ruthless Records. Eazy-E brought the money and Dre brought the sound. N.W.A. officially came to life with a core lineup of Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, MC Ren, and DJ Yella. In 1988, they released the groundbreaking album Straight Outta Compton. The entire album, from concept to completion, was made in only about 6 weeks. It was not just music, it was a declaration. Straight Outta Compton sent a cultural shockwave across America. The album was aggressive, vulgar, and openly anti-police like nothing ever heard before. N.W.A. did not hide the truth about gang violence or the racial brutality enforced by police. Their signature track, F the Police, was a direct and unapologetic indictment. The lyrics were so powerful and so blunt that they shook not only the music industry, but also the government itself. The Federal Bureau of Investigation officially sent a warning letter to Ruthless Records and N.W.A., accusing them of provoking violence and hostility against law enforcement. This moment cemented N.W.A. as the world's most dangerous group. More importantly, they opened the door for freedom of speech in rap, proving that music can be the most powerful political and social voice of all. Breakup over money and violent scandals. Huge success brought money, but not transparency. Tensions rose as finances became unclear and signs of financial manipulation appeared behind the scenes. In 1990, Ice Cube left the group in anger, convinced that he was being cheated out of his earnings. His departure sparked a legendary diss track war. Cube publicly fired back at N.W.A. with no Vaseline, completely breaking whatever relationship was left. The breakup of N.W.A. also exposed Dr. Dre's dark side, his loss of control. In 1991, he assaulted TV host Dee Barnes from the Fox hip-hop show Pump It Up at a nightclub. The reason behind the attack was a segment she aired in which she interviewed Ice Cube right after he left N.W.A. In that piece, Barnes included commentary that suggested the group had fallen apart in chaos. The incident threw Dre into a legal scandal over violence. He was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 240 hours of community service, and he was required to join an anti-violence campaign. The Dee Barnes attack cast a dark shadow over Dr. Dre's image, marking him as a woman beater. It remains one of the ugliest stains in hip-hop history. Even before the Dee Barnes case, he had already been involved in an abuse scandal with his then-girlfriend R&B singer Michelle. She later publicly claimed that Dre frequently assaulted her throughout their relationship, including a blow strong enough to injure her nose. It was a deep moral stain, revealing that Dre's lack of control was not a one-time issue. His violent behavior became a dark secret, hiding behind the bright lights of billion-dollar hits always waiting to resurface. What made it even more controversial was Dre's lack of remorse for many years. In one interview, he even said that attacking Barnes was a way to punish her for portraying him incorrectly. It was not until decades later, especially during the promotion of the biopic Straight Outta Compton in 2015, that Dr. Dre finally issued a public apology, admitting that his actions were a horrible mistake and the greatest regret of his life. After the D. Barnes scandal and the financial disputes with Eazy-E, Dr. Dre realized he was trapped in his contract with Ruthless Records. He craved freedom. He needed to take control of his music. The violent contract escape and the shadow of Suge Knight. A notorious and iconic figure entered the scene. Suge Knight. A huge, intimidating man with a history of violence, and he rescued Dr. Dre's contract in a way that was anything but friendly. The story goes that Suge Knight and a group of aggressive bodyguards stormed into Eazy-E's office, threatening him and forcing him to sign the release papers that set Dre free. Death Row Records was born out of intimidation and violence. The new label quickly became an empire, but it was also a chaotic and extremely dangerous workplace. Guns and aggression filled the office. Creativity was always overshadowed by fear and ego. Dr. Dre would later admit, "Ever since Suge showed up, I stopped having fun in hip-hop, a creative genius trapped inside a fortress of hostility. The birth of G-Funk and the formula that changed the world. While the environment was hell, Dre's creativity reached heaven." In 1992, he released his first solo album, The Chronic. It was not just an album. It was the birth of G-Funk, a completely new sound. The Chronic became a massive success, and the song Let Me Ride earned Dr. Dre his first solo Grammy. His position as an unbeatable producer was set in stone. At the same time, Dre stepped into his greatest role, the star maker. He elevated a skinny young rapper with a laid-back voice and a unique swagger, Snoop Dogg. The album Doggy Style in 1993, produced by Dre for Snoop Dogg, became a giant hit, further solidifying Dre's legendary status. He was not just a producer, he was a musical monarch who could turn anyone he touched into a global superstar. Death Row Records became the most powerful label in America. But tragedy was not done with Dr. Dre or Deadly Destiny Tupac and the tragic end. The chaos inside Death Row reached its peak when the legendary rapper Tupac Shakur joined the label in 1995. The combination of Dre, Snoop, and Tupac created a force that seemed unstoppable. California Love exploded instantly, becoming a global hit and the official anthem of West Coast dominance. But Tupac's arrival also poured gasoline onto the East Coast versus West Coast war filled with hatred and death. The feud sparked by hostility between Death Row on the West Coast and Bad Boy Records on the East Coast had gone far beyond music. Everything reached a bloody climax in September 1996. After attending a Mike Tyson fight together in Las Vegas, Tupac and Suge Knight left the arena. On the way out, they got into a violent brawl with a rival gang member. Moments later, as their black BMW stopped at a red light, a white Cadillac pulled up beside them. Gunshots erupted. Tupac was hit multiple times. Suge Knight was wounded, but survived. After 7 days fighting for his life in the hospital, Tupac Shakur died on September 13, 1996, at the age of 25. His death was not only a personal tragedy, but a death sentence for Death Row's violent era. The loss shattered the glamour of the label and exposed how truly lethal it had become. Less than a year later, the notorious B.I.G. was shot dead under mysterious circumstances in Los Angeles in 1997. The back-to-back deaths of two hip-hop icons ended the East Coast-West Coast war, but they also made Dr. Dre realize that he had to escape death row at any cost. Dr. Dre, witnessing the destruction around him, made a painful but necessary decision. The decision to leave with nothing. Despite the massive financial success, Dr. Dre reached his breaking point. He was sick of the violence, the chaos, and the constant fear created by Suge Knight. Dre understood that if he stayed, he could end up dead or in prison. In 1996, just months before Tupac's death, Dr. Dre made a bold and painful choice. He walked away from Death Row Records. It was a huge financial sacrifice. To secure his safety and completely break free from Suge Knight's control, Dre left without taking any of the massive profits he had helped create. In a statement, Dr. Dre made it clear, "I am not leaving with a wet shirt. I am leaving with my life." His departure was an act of desperation to save himself. Dre gave up millions of dollars, but he saved his soul and his future, which opened the door to a new, stronger chapter in his career: the giant shadow and the fear of failure. In 1996, after bravely escaping the violent nightmare of Death Row, Dr. Dre founded Aftermath Entertainment under the support of Interscope Records. The name Aftermath hinted at the chaos he had just survived. Dre wanted to build a clean label where music came first. But the early days of Aftermath were filled with embarrassing failures and growing doubt surrounding the career of one of the greatest producers ever. The label's first release. Dr. Dre presents The Aftermath. 1996 was a commercial flop and was dismissed by critics. It made no noise after the G-Funk storm and left the public asking a painful question. Could Dr. Dre really succeed without the shadow of Suge Knight and the brutality of Death Row? He continued to experiment with The Firm, a supergroup featuring major stars like Nas-A-Z and Foxy Brown. Even with those big names, the album failed to meet expectations, leading critics to declare that Dr. Dre's era is over. His kingdom shook. Many believed his success had been a coincidence thanks to Snoop Dogg and Tupac. A destiny-changing demo from a white kid. Just as Dre was sinking into decline and fear of failure, Jimmy Iovine, co-founder of Interscope Records and Dre's closest ally, stepped in. In 1998, Iovine handed Dre a demo tape from an unknown rapper out of Detroit, Eminem, Marshall Mathers. Dre played the tape with skepticism. Then he froze. A raw, angry voice, razor-sharp lyrics, a style unlike anything he had ever heard. Dre's first reaction was a stunned question. Who the F is that? He immediately knew this was the new sound and the new genius he needed to rebuild his empire. Signing Eminem was a crazy gamble and a direct challenge to the unspoken rules of hip-hop. At that time, the world doubted whether a white rapper could survive in a culture shaped and owned by black artists. The difference in skin color and lack of trust formed a massive barrier. Many in the industry warned Dre that backing a white rapper would destroy his authenticity. But Dr. Dre recognized the hunger and the brilliance inside Marshall Mathers. He bet every last piece of his reputation on Eminem. The phenomenal comeback and the restoration of power. The collaboration between these two geniuses became a global shockwave. The man who once invented a new sound now reinvented hip-hop again, blending his musical precision with Eminem's beautiful insanity. My Name is Dropped. A hilarious, outrageous, and explosive hit. With one iconic opening line, Eminem introduced himself to the world under the guidance of a master. The comeback worked. Dr. Dre didn't just return. He returned with more power than ever. He proved he was a true star maker, not defined by race or a single style. A musical visionary who could discover and shape greatness no matter the obstacles or the prejudice. Dre's career was reborn in full glory. Aftermath Entertainment became a new powerhouse, stronger, cleaner, and no longer haunted by the violent shadow of Death Row. The king of production and the legendary comeback. In 1999, Dr. Dre released his second solo studio album, a project that solidified his status once and for all. 2001. Originally, Dre planned to call the album The Chronic 2000, to directly continue the legacy of G-Funk. But Death Row Records, with Suge Knight still controlling the original brand, jumped ahead by releasing a compilation called Suge Knight Represents Chronic 2000. It was a blatant act of provocation. But Dr. Dre turned that strike into a historic counterpunch. He simply renamed his project 2001. The album didn't need the old title. It created a brand new era on its own. 2001 was a production masterpiece. The album opened with two records that would become unquestionable classics: Still Dre and Forgot About Dre. It was the boldest statement possible. Dre was still here, and you better not forget his greatness. On top of his personal domination, Dr. Dre continued to strengthen his title as the king of production by driving massive blockbuster careers. With Eminem, the Marshall Mathers LP 2000, produced by Dre shattered records and proved that he could create global superstars. With 50 Cent Get Rich or Die Tryin' 2003 was built from Dre's production sessions in just 7 days. 1 week was all he needed to extract 50's raw energy and turn the album into a worldwide phenomenon. Dre's dominance became undeniable. In 2005, Rolling Stone ranked him at number 54 on their list of the 100 greatest artists of all time, a rare recognition for a hip-hop producer. From hustler to billionaire. The historic deal. After the era of 2001, Dr. Dre spent years chasing the most anticipated album in rap history, Detox. He teased it for a decade. It became a legend of perfectionism, a symbol of creativity haunted by its own expectations. But while the music stalled, Dre's vision expanded beyond the studio, into technology. In 2008, Dr. Dre, together with longtime business partner Jimmy Iovine and audio company Monster, launched Beats by Dre. It wasn't just an audio company, it was a lifestyle brand backed by brilliant marketing. In 2014, the biggest explosion in entertainment business history hit. Apple acquired Beats Electronics for $3.2 billion. It became Apple's largest acquisition ever at the time. Overnight, Dr. Dre became hip-hop's first billionaire. He didn't just win in music, he won in business. He proved his own motto: "I don't just do things, I dominate them." But while Dre was building an empire, he was also forced to face a series of painful tragedies, ethical controversies, and legal shadows that darkened his legendary career. These are the most striking ones: the dark file of Dr. Dre tragedy scandal and the price of genius. Dr. Dre is the father of 8 children. From 5 different relationships, a number that reflects how chaotic and turbulent his personal life has been. During the early years of his career, while Dr. Dre was building N.W.A. and G-Funk, he had children with 3 different women. His first son, Curtis Young, born in 1981, is the oldest of Dre's kids. Curtis and his mother separated from Dre when he was still very young. He grew up without his father's presence in his life until he became an adult. Today, Curtis is also pursuing a hip-hop career under the name Hood Surgeon. Second son, Marcel Young, born 1991. This came from his highly publicized and controversial relationship with R&B singer Michelle. She later came forward accusing Dr. Dre of repeatedly abusing her throughout their time together. His third son, born in 1988, was Andre Young Jr. He was also the most tragic of Dr. Dre's children. In 2008, when Dr. Dre had already become a dominant force in the industry, Andre Young Jr. suddenly passed away at the age of 20. The tragedy unfolded in the cruelest way. Andre Jr. was found unconscious at home, and the cause of death was ruled as a drug overdose. For a man on the verge of becoming a billionaire, this was a reality too painful to accept. Money and power could not bring back his son's life. The death of Andre Jr. was not only a loss, it forced Dre to confront heartbreaking questions about fatherhood absence and the price the next generation pays for his ambition and legendary career. It became a wound so deep that not even the most perfect beat could ever heal. Even in love and marriage, Dr. Dre has not been so fortunate. The billion-dollar war. Dr. Dre and Nicole Young's breakup of the century. Among all the women who came and went in Dr. Dre's life, he chose to commit to Nicole Young. They got married in 1996. But ironically, their 24-year marriage ended in one of the most explosive divorces in entertainment history. Dragging from 2020 to 2022, the case exposed the darkest corners of a billionaire's private life. In June 2020, Nicole Young suddenly filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The core issue quickly emerged: the prenuptial agreement. Dr. Dre insisted they signed a strict prenup before getting married in 1996. However, Nicole claimed that Dre ripped up that agreement just 2 years later, as a romantic gesture, which would mean his entire fortune, including the $3.2 billion Beats deal, was considered community property under California law. Without a valid prenup, Nicole could claim up to 50% of Dre's assets worth hundreds of millions of dollars. As the legal battle escalated, both sides hired the most aggressive divorce lawyers in the industry, turning the case into a hostile public showdown. Nicole resurfaced the old abuse allegations against Dr. Dre, including those from Michelle and D. Barnes. She weaponized these accusations to pursue higher financial support and assets, portraying herself as a victim of domestic abuse throughout their marriage. Dre fired back hard. He accused Nicole Young of embezzling hundreds of thousands of dollars from his business accounts without permission. Dre also fought fiercely to keep his private financial details sealed. Nicole initially demanded $2 million a month in spousal support, which Dre publicly mocked as outrageous. She later demanded a $26 million Malibu mansion and $1.5 million for security expenses. A brush with death and the final settlement. In January 2021, at the peak of the legal war, Dr. Dre was rushed to the hospital for a brain aneurysm. He was admitted straight into the ICU at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. It was a moment when he stared death in the face, and realized how fragile life truly is. This frightening incident triggered a major shift. Both sides were forced to confront the cruelty of the ongoing battle. After Dre recovered, exhaustion and mounting legal pressure pushed the two parties toward settlement. Continuing the fight would only burn tens of millions more in attorney fees. The final outcome, Dr. Dre agreed to pay Nicole Young a total of $100 million in asset settlement. The payout was split into two installments, $50 million immediately and $50 million 1 year later. In return, Nicole had to return all of their shared assets she held, including jewelry, cash, and certain properties. Dre retained all music rights, The Beats by Dre brand, and their real estate portfolio. After the costly divorce, Dr. Dre began a new relationship, showing he still sought personal stability in his 60s. Dr. Dre is now dating Jillian Spear, a marriage and family therapist. The relationship is much more private than his previous marriage. Choosing a partner who works in emotional counseling is seen by many as a sign that Dre is seeking peace after decades of chaos. Life now, a billion-dollar king. Still on the throne. Even after paying Nicole Young $100 million, Dr. Dre's net worth remains between $400 and $600 million, depending on recent catalog sales and valuations. Recently, Dre reportedly sold a significant portion of his music and royalties to Universal Music Group and Shamrock Capital for over $200 million. While details remain private, the move shows Dre is converting intellectual property into guaranteed long-term liquidity. He still owns several high-value properties, including his $40 million Brentwood estate in Los Angeles, purchased from Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. In his 60s, Dr. Dre has shifted from the stressful life of running a label to one focused on health and inner peace. After surviving the brain aneurysm in 2021, he fully recovered and now follows a strict fitness and wellness regimen. That near-death experience became a harsh reminder to prioritize health above everything else. He continues to live luxuriously but quietly, while managing investments, tech ventures, and philanthropy. When he had already gained everything a man could ever dream of, Dr. Dre entered his greatest era of all, legacy and giving back to the community. The biographical film Straight Outta Compton, 2015, co-produced by Dre, dominated the global box office and cemented cultural recognition for N.W.A.'s history. That same year, he released the album Compton. Dre pledged all profits from the album to building a performing arts center at Compton High School, giving young people a path out of the streets through creativity and art. Dre and Jimmy Iovine donated $70 million to the University of Southern California to establish the Jimmy Iovine and Andre Young Academy for Arts, Technology, and Business Innovation, a powerhouse for the next generation of creators. At the Super Bowl halftime show 2022, Dre led one of the most unforgettable halftime performances in history, alongside his protégés, earning 3 Emmy Awards. He was honored with the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award in 2023 and received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2024. At 60, Dr. Dre is a man who has achieved everything the world can offer. He has nothing left to prove. He completed the journey from a doubted kid in Compton to an unshakable king. His legacy is no longer just music or wealth. It is resilience. It is the ability to reinvent himself every decade. A brutal and magnificent lesson in survival. Our story about Dr. Dre ends here, but Hollywood still hides countless dark secrets waiting to be uncovered. Many legends have faced tragedies, scandals, and the deep shadows behind fame. Don't miss the next case file. Like and subscribe right now as we continue lifting the veil on Hollywood's hidden truths. See you in the next video.
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast. There is still so much more to explore. Stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now appearing on your screen.